Hello, I'm Josey Meats with the Wenatchee World, and I'm here today with local broadcast legend Dave Herald. Dave, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you this morning?
Pretty good. So you're celebrating 50 years on the air. When you hear that number, what comes to mind? Is it reflection? Is it celebration?
Well, I really haven't kept track of the years. It's just sort of been a fun experience and a good journey. And of course, 50 years ago, lots of things were a little bit different. There weren't any box stores, and they weren't a whole lot of things in the Wenatchee Valley. 3 radio stations, actually, and 1 FM station about 50 years ago in 1976. So things have changed, but the broadcast world has changed, and a lot of things have taken place in those years.
Could you take me back to 1976? Who was young Dave? Like starting out, what was that experience like?
Well, I actually pulled in 1976 on Mission Street, and in fact, running right in front of the existing Sunny FM studios, and pulled up my Cordoba. I just bought a Cordoba, which wasn't a wise decision since we were in the energy crisis. And I stopped at the 2nd and Mission at the stoplight, and this lady came up to me and said, "You're not from around here, are you new?" And I went, "Yeah." And, "Oh, well, welcome to Wenatchee," and threw a $5 bill in my car, and the light went green, she took off. And I said, "Hey, this is going to be a great town." So that's how it all began. But actually, I was hired by Jim Corcoran and Carl Tyler. And Jim Corcoran had a station, and Carl Tyler in Walla Walla called K-Head XT97, and they hired me from a station in Tri-Cities called KALA, where I was the top 40 jock and a sales guy. So we started our journey in broadcasting by basically Jim Corcoran and Carl Tyler purchased the old KMEL radio station, AM 1340, and then changed it into KWWW. And the journey began.
What was it about radio that said, like, this is where I belong? What was that moment, I guess?
Well, I sort of got the radio bug at a young age. In fact, when I was about 9 years old, before you were born, of course, we had these little crystal radios that looked like little rockets, and you could tune them. And you could tune them into frequencies, and you get skip, which means you get radio stations in San Francisco and outside stations. Of course, you get stations in the Seattle metropolitan area where I grew up. But my father would keep pounding on on my bedroom door saying, "You're not listening to that damn radio station, are you?" And I said, "Oh, no, I'm not doing that." So I've just sort of infatuated with it. And then I got to go into a station called KFKF in Bellevue Square and met a guy named Dick Curtis, who eventually worked as a news director at Como AM 1000 in Seattle. He invited me in and let me read the weather in the studio, and ever since I catch the bug. So I've always had a passion for it. Yeah.
If anyone grew up in the Wenatchee Valley, like myself, we grew up with you as Dave in the Morning.
That's correct.
And you talk to guests as kind of like the neighbor trimming the hedges over the fence. Is that a voice that developed, or was it just there? Or can you kind of go through that with me?
Well, I was on the air in the Tri-Cities area, so it was sort of natural for me just to move in. But, it was live radio back there. We actually had shifts that we filled, 6 to 10 and 10 to 3 and 3 to 7. So we had a full staff of disc jockeys, and it was fun playing live radio. Back then at KMEL, which turned into KW3, of course, it was top 40 radio, so we were playing the hits, and you had all these groupies that thought it was cool to drive up to the radio station, which was then right across from the Peter Rabbit store on North Wenatchee Avenue, next to the old ag supply store years ago. And so just sort of fun, you just sort of, had to keep the doors locked because you never know who was going to walk in groupie-wise,
Right.
So.
Yeah. So you had quite the celebration to celebrate 50 years just a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, and November 1st. And my wife sort of put it on with the Wenatchee Center Hotel and her staff, and we invited I wanted to invite people in the community that had been part of my life, clients and former broadcasters and family, of course. And we had about 160 people there.
Right.
It was a great sort of reunion. I really, as I said in my closing announcements there, this is not about me, you know, it's sort of a gift for me to give back to you, the community, and my clients and family for putting up with me for 50 years and allowing my family, Linda, and the kids to have a great career in the Wenatchee Valley.
Did anything surprise you at that celebration?
Well, there were some interesting roasted comments, and my partners, Kent Phillips, who was on KPLZ Star 100.5 in Seattle for many years. He was over, and my other partner's Dave Barr. So they had some classic comments, you know, I'm sure to say. So.
Radio has changed a lot over the years, from transistor radios to streaming services, but what has stayed constant for you?
I guess what's really stayed constant for me is the importance of community and reaching out, you know, to clients, but to keep listeners intact and informed on what was happening in the valley. And, you know, we were sort of the communication and the resource. So we felt that we had a responsibility, whether Mount St. Helens was blowing up or whatever it was, or the latest music or the latest hit. You know, our job was to entertain, you know, keep entertaining and hopefully make people's day and get up and have a great day and keep them motivated and keep the valley positive.
You've collected thousands of stories through that journey, some hilarious, some chaotic. Is there a moment you look back on that still makes you laugh? Like maybe something that maybe wasn't supposed to go on air but did?
I guess, yeah, there are many. One, Jim Corcoran, the former owner of KW3 AM&F, and he actually hired a guy that also went to Washington State University. I went there and Jim went there, and he was actually basically legally blind. And so we hired him. Had a great voice, super nice guy, and we in those days we had all the commercials on what's known as, they looked like little 4-track, 8-track carts, if you remember those. And so every one of those commercials, in order for him to put the carts on the air, we had a Braille typewriter. And so every single commercial in the carousel, all those commercials had to have, after you put the regular label on, you had to type a Braille label and put it on the top.
Oh, wow.
So what we would do occasionally is take the carousel with all the, you know, cart machines and put them over here, and then put the tape recorder over here, so that when Marty sat down, he'd always grab to the left, and instead of grabbing the carts and the carousel, he'd grab the tape recorder, he'd scream, "Dave Herald, what are you doing?" And we all thought that was pretty funny. But he was a great guy. He was with us a couple of years and went down to radio, and I think he actually did some radio in Billings, Montana, and also down in Oregon. Yeah, but sort of some fun times.
Yeah.
There.
As Dave in the morning, your voice has become a part of many people's morning routines, in the shower, in the kitchen, in the car on the way to work. What's that connection mean to you personally?
Well, like I said, it's my whole goal and sort of mission is to wake people up and put them in a good mood and keep entertainment and keep the hits going. And in our particular format, we're the greatest hits, and it's fun to bring those memories back. It's interesting, that particular station, our station now, Sunny FM, is sort of ironic, but you go back to 76 or in the 80s, and now we're playing those songs right now and bringing back those memories. And what really, I think, attracts the audience there is that, as you probably know, you have your favorite songs, whether it's country or top 40 or whatever it may be, but when they hear those songs, typical person, it'll bring back certain significant memories or relationships or vacations, and that's what music's all about. It brings back fun, positive memories, and we're able to continue to do that and bring those memories and fun times back.
And then outside the studio, you've become deeply involved in the Valley, whether it's Apple Blossom or the lip sync contest. Why has rooting yourself so deeply in Wenatchee mattered to you? And what has this Valley given you personally over the years?
Well, my wife and I have always liked to volunteer, and we've always liked to help people that need help. And you mentioned the lip sync, and lip sync was a big craze back in the late 80s and 90s, and we probably did about 25 lip syncs. And all the money, of course, went to nonprofit organizations, whether it was the American Cancer Society or the food bank or the library or whatever it was. But I've just always liked to give back. I've been fortunate to have a fun and great career and rewarding career, and it's my wife and I always like to give back, and that's why we're in Apple Blossom. My wife Linda just came off being the Wenatchee Appellarian Chancellor, sort of head of that group. We've both been Director Generals for Apple Blossom, and I just think that anybody that is in a position to give back should do so, because it helps all of us.
Thinking back to Dave in 1976, just arriving in Wenatchee, what would you want him to know now?
Wow. Well, what would I want him to know now? That's a tough question.
Yeah, if you want to take some time.
You mean if I could go back?
Right, if you could go back and give him...
Of what I know now?
Right.
Well, if I was to go back and talk to me back in 1976, I would probably tell him that it's a great community, and that also it's going to grow quickly, and there's going to be all sorts of changes, whether it's box stores or telephone booths are going to go bye-bye. The computer's going to happen in 1980. You got to remember there were no computers.
Right.
So Bill Gates didn't exist. All of our logs that we had for commercials were hand logged. There was no computers. And probably tell them that those turntables that are out there are not going to be there anymore. Everything's going to be in a machine, and eventually everything's going to be on a personal device that you're going to hold in your hand, I guess.
And here you are, you're still doing it.
I'm still doing it. I'm still having fun. Yeah.
What keeps radio joyfully for you today? And what still gets you to crack the mic at 6 a.m.?
Oh, I think it's being able to help people, help clients, and knowing that you're helping people get through their day. And I was in Denny's the other day, and I was just paying my breakfast bill. Sometimes I'll just go there or another restaurant and just sort of veg for a while. As I was leaving, a guy that I didn't even recognize said, "Hey, happy 50th anniversary, Dave."
Oh, cool.
And you get things like, you don't realize, because that's what you do every day, the impact sometimes that you're making on making somebody's day. And music gives them sort of an opportunity to go back to their memories, and if they're having a bad day, maybe make their day a little bit better. So.
Okay, I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
One's kind of an easy one that I need to ask it because I'm a huge breakfast person. What's your breakfast order?
My breakfast order, I'm sort of on this health craze, so my breakfast order usually is a couple of eggs. Always want to get some protein in there, and either ham or some sort of protein, chicken, or no hash browns, and fruit, and a cup of coffee, and maybe a glass of milk. Just to get me on my day.
You still sound like you have a lot of energy and a lot of passion for it. Are there any new ideas that you're wanting to try, or old ideas that you want to revisit?
Well, we're always looking for new ideas for clients, but also for listeners. And we, like I said, always looking for new things. We started a program years ago called we're sort of known as the Pay It Forward station. And we try to do acts of kindness. And today, which of course is November 11th, is Veterans Day, so I'm going to go into the American Legion. I'm going to walk in and made some arrangements to go buy everybody a beer on the house from Dave in the Morning and Sunny FM. So we do that. We'll buy people dinner at the Windmill or a cup of coffees down at Pybus, and we do that usually every Friday, but we do it on special days like today as well. So it's sort of fun to do things like that, get back to the community and make people's day.
Right. Very cool. I lied. I actually have one
Okay.
more. Do you have a message you'd like to share with the community that has tuned in so faithfully over the years?
I guess first thing comes to my mind is a big thank you for, giving me an opportunity and our staff an opportunity to, serve the community and play the music that many of them grew up with. It's truly one of those generational radio stations. As I mentioned before, we're playing music that I rolled back in 1976 and 1980, and we'll continue to do the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and dip into the 2000s as well. And it's just, I guess, a big thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining me
You
today.
bet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Josey Meats at the NCWLIFE studio. Thanks for tuning in.